All right, let's take a look at our ginger bug, and it looks like we have bubbles. Awesome. Let's take a look at our ginger pieces. Those also look good, and it looks like our ginger bug has been activated and is ready to use. This is how to make a low maintenance, easy ginger bug. All I have right here, I've just got chopped up ginger. I have an old glass jar that I don't use. There was honey in here. Just put this in here. Just put up the chopped up ginger. Now you need to add a sweet liquid. The idea here is to add something that is sweet enough to taste that the yeast on this natural ginger bug have some sugars to feed on in a wet liquid environment so they can move. For reference, which is easy, you want to use something that is as sweet as apple juice. If I wanted to, I could just pour apple juice into the up to about here, shake this, and I could have an apple ginger bug. Alternatively, you can do the exact same thing with honey, and you would add in maybe 2-3 spoonfuls. Same thing with sugar, add in 2-3 spoonfuls, top it up with water, give it a shake, and then the most important thing, taste it. You have to taste the liquid to see if the liquid is sweet. If it's sweet to you, it's sweet to the bugs, and they will eat. If it's not sweet enough, you won't get that many bubbles, and you'll have a very calm and non-reactive bug. It won't come alive as strongly. So let's make a honey-based ginger bug. You do not need to use honey. You can absolutely use plain white sugar. The yeasts, they are not picky. They just need a carbohydrate. The reason why people prefer to use honey is because the yeast will actively use the micronutrients in here because honey has vitamins and minerals, and it will impart that into your drink to make it more nutritious. If you don't care and you just want a ginger bug without having it be nutritionally interesting, you can just use white sugar. It's not that big of a deal. So just add in enough honey until it is sweet. That looks about right. And then top it off with water. Put this, that lid goes there. This lid goes here. Shake the life out of it. I am not going to add more ginger or more sugar to this. You do not need to feed this every day until it bubbles. You do not need to add in more ginger. You do not need to add in more sugar every day until it bubbles. You just need enough ginger from the start, enough carbohydrates from the start, and enough liquid from the start. This is perfect. You can tell it's got a beautiful color from the honey. It's got quite a lot of ginger in here. I've agitated it, and we're going to be good to go. If you are using a jar like this, you are going to want to you're either going to want to rinse this lid every single time because the metal and the honey/acid that's being produced from the lactic acid that's being produced will eventually corrode this. So if anything, you maybe want to put like parchment paper or like a plastic wrap or anything just so that it's not against the pure metal because it will corrode. So what's next? Now, every single day, I need to oxygenate this and I need to agitate it until I get an active, bubbly ferment ginger bug. And so what that means is that every single day, you can do it as often as you like, but usually like 1 to 3 times per day is really quite enough. All you need to do is open it to oxygenate it, and you need to agitate it. You can do it with like a knife, a chopstick, a spoon, or you can put a lid on it and you can just like shake the dickens out of it. And then usually if you do shake it, you do need to undo this lid again just to release any built up pressure. And you're just going to do that 1 to 3 times per day for 3 to 5 days. And eventually you will get a ginger bug. So to get started, this is what we're looking at. The bubbles are just agitation bubbles. These are not actual fermentation bubbles, but this is what the top looks like. And I will show you a progress video every day until I get an active ginger bug. Also, people do say that they need to have absolute perfect organic ginger, and I mean, you can if you want, you don't need to. There's yeast in the air. The yeast will come in here and they will start eating and you'll get a ginger bug if this is conventional or not. Don't get the lowest grade ginger because then your ginger is going to be full of pesticides and you don't want that. But you don't need to get the most perfect ginger that exists in the entire world. It's just ginger, and all you need to do is just incorporate enough yeast from the air or either on the ginger. Both work, both are fine, both will create a ginger bug. And you just need to add enough water and enough carbohydrates, and that will always produce an active ginger bug for soda, for ginger beer, for any other kind of like yeast-based fermentation. You can even use a ginger bug to make like breads, for example. So I will show you the following days until we get up to a ginger bug with good effervescence and an active fermented base yeast culture. I'll be sure to be very attentive about how I take care of this. I will be sure to show you every step of the way. So anyone that's new doing this, they will be able to easily identify where they are in their process. And I'll help you with troubleshooting. If there are any questions, please ask them in the comment section below. The stuff is really easy. Let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be.
All right, so editing phase Matt here, and I thought that the 15 to 20% sugar solution to activate a ginger bug was a little bit vague, and that some people may really like to have some physical measurements to make it a little bit more approachable for the wide variety of people that may be watching this video. So how about I'm going to pour this out to see how much we get, and I will provide a calculation for you. All right, so let's take this off. How much do I usually have? Now, the amount, okay, so I'm at about 2 cups. So the amount that I'm doing here can vary. You could do this in like a small jar, for example. The 15 to 20% of a sugar solution with ginger is the important part. The amount that you're doing is not necessarily the most important factor. So I have about 2 cups here, which is about 16 ounces, which is about a little bit over half a liter. So I will attach a document with all of the conversions here. You can also find it in the description and also on my website. And I do think that this is an important moment to appropriately plug my gram baking equivalency sheet. This gram baking equivalency sheet I made, it has all of your common baking ingredients, all of the common measurements from 1 teaspoon all the way up to 1 cup, and it has all of these ingredients common gram measurements. And then on the other side, and this is available on my website, you can download it very easily. Ounces to grams conversions, fluid ounces, cups, milliliters, Fahrenheit to Celsius, and inches to centimeters. And that can be incredibly helpful for those that are in the kitchen and are often doing little fun experiments, kind of like a ginger bug. This little document I've just folded to fit easily on my refrigerator, and it just lives there, and I reference it, not every day, but at least once or twice a week I reference it, and it's really quite helpful. So please feel free to use this just like I have. All right, so let's do a sample recipe like the one I provided here. So I'm going to do 1.5 cups of a ginger bug liquid. And so what I will need to do is I will need to either add from 1/4 up to 1/3 in sugar to create that 15 to 20%. And that can be either with plain wet sugar or with honey. Honey does have added yeast, which will assure and speed up your fermentation and your success with a ginger bug. Add that amount, so either 1/3 or 1/4 cup, to your mixing vessel. Then add in enough water to equal 1 1/2 cups. Stir everything together, and that is what is going to give you a 15 to 20% sugar solution. After, you will take the same amount of ginger as sugar that you added. And so if you added a 1/4 cup of sugar or honey, you would then add a 1/4 cup of ginger, or 1/3 cup, 1/3 cup of ginger. Same thing. And that is your sample recipe. Very easy. So without further ado, let's go back and go to day 1 of our ginger bug activation tutorial.
All right, so good morning. We are next day. Usually when you put everything together, we will refer to that as day 0 because you're just putting it all together. This will technically be officially day 1. And as you can tell, in my concoction, I have some of these foamy bubbles at the edge, but these are maybe just agitation bubbles, or it is the start of a fermentation of my ginger bug. Please note that I did use raw honey as my sweetening agent, and raw honey does have natural yeasts in it, and so that will influence and it will speed up the ginger bug development. So I will get a ginger bug faster than someone that's using white sugar where there are no natural yeasts. There should be raw yeast on the ginger. Because I'm also having raw yeast on the honey, that will also be a contributor and it will speed up the process. All right, so now it is time to aerate and stir. So we're going to aerate by opening it up, of course, and then we are going to create agitation to stir everything up, to oxygenate the whole thing. And I'm just getting a clean spoon and stirring everything around. The bubbles that are coming are not fermentation bubbles quite yet. They're not really that active. So let's give you a top-down view. All right, so the bubbles that you are seeing here are more maybe agitation bubbles, but maybe it also is the kickstart. This is a very good sign that I've got something good going on. If you do not yet have these types of bubbles, do not worry, they will eventually come. It depends also, if you're in a colder climate, they will take a little bit longer to start going, but this is the fantastic sign of the start of a ginger bug in development. Now, if you are new to this, do not be fooled. This is not a ginger bug yet. You will have noticeable bubbles. It will have a noticeable effervescence / carbonation, CO2 release coming out when you open this up. So just because there is slight foam on the top, that does not mean that it is active and ready to go. You want it to be bubbly and fizzy, and you will see that as we progress. And all it takes is a certain amount of experience or a visual for you to see and understand what an active ginger bug does look like compared to an inactive one. This one is very young, and so it is inactive and it is in a juvenile state. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it off to the side, and I will either stir it again later tonight or I will stir it again tomorrow, just kind of depending on how active I want to be. It's entirely possible that I'll just do like one of these kinds of things, and that'll be it. All right, it's rather late. It is still same day. Open it, no pop or fizz. Stirring, stirring, stirring. Just keep going. Oh, I'm starting to get 1 or 2 bubbles. I'll give you a top down. All right, so these tiny bubbles on the edge don't count, but when I do this, I'm getting a few of these extra bubbles right here, and that is the activation of a ginger bug, and this will keep increasing as I keep stirring. This means that we are on the right track, and eventually we will get an active ginger bug. All right, so good morning. We are day 3, and here is our ginger bug. It still does look like there's not much happening. Just gotta keep going. Spoon. Aerate the whole thing, and eventually you will get a ginger bug. That's it. Evening stirring session for my to-be ginger bug, and I do want to mention that this is not on, tight. It's on to prevent fruit flies from coming in, but if there's any pressure buildup, the oxygen can be released because this is not on, tight. So we're opening it up. We're going to stir, and for the amount of, so we are getting some bubbles, for the amount of honey that I do have in this, and I'm sure you were probably shocked at the amount of honey I put in this, that amount of sugar, all of the yeast are feeding on that sugar right now, and there's a lot of it. And so this will probably take more time to become an active ginger bug, but that's because there's just the pure amount of sugar that's going on in this. If you want this to go faster, you can either do this with a kitchen towel on top, with just one layer, because you want the oxygen to
oxygenate the yeast, which will help them multiply faster, like this. Or you just have to like stir, so oxygenate them more often. But honestly, just be patient, and eventually it will come together and you will get a ginger bug. So, and we are still on our way to a ginger bug. All right, so good morning. And I did put a cloth cover over this last night just because I feel like it needs more oxygen because it's getting to be a little bit slow to start. So that's just what I've done. Same process. You could do a cloth cover from start to finish, or you could do the same way with this start to finish, but this is just to speed it up. So let's look at what we have going on. And we still have like, so from the top down, so we still have those mini bubbles like that. And those are to be expected, and that is the sign of fermentation. So let's keep stirring. So this time I'm going to stir top down just to give you a better visual. You can see the bubbles coming up. So we are still on our way. Just keep going. All right, so here we are, day 5. Ta-da! We're finally getting some fermentation and bubble activity. So let's stir it top down. That is what we are looking for. This is the true sign that your ginger bug is getting started. And as always, after, just put a tea towel over it or seal it up. I also put a rubber band around the side just in case so that no fruit flies can get in. All right, so now that we have an active ginger bug, you may be thinking, well, now what? So with this active ginger bug, all we need to do now is we can maintain it. So we're just going to take care of it. It's very low maintenance. So don't be worried about this being high maintenance and another thing to take care of. Sometimes it's like literally 2 to 5 minutes per week, or even every other week if it's in the fridge in a more dormant phase, pulling it out just when you need it. And you can use it mainly for making sodas or having, if you need a yeast to make a fun recipe, such as like a soda, a homemade alcohol, or even a bread, you can use this ginger bug to be your source of yeast to help with a leavening. And so what you can see here is I've already had some, but I made a soda out of my ginger bug and I added in apple juice and some fall spices because we're getting into the fall season and it's quite effervescent. You can see right here, there are already small bubbles and it's got a wonderful carbonation. Oh, look at that. So as you can see here, I just opened it and I'm getting all these fun little bubbles coming up, which means it's got great smooth carbonation. So technically you can make a ginger soda, ginger beer, which is technically a ginger soda when you see it online, if it has 10 plus days of fermentation with a alcoholic fermentation airlock, then you're going to get an actual ginger beer. But if it's got a flip top on it like this, it's going to be a ginger soda technically. So you may want to pay attention to that type of terminology. But when you're making a ginger soda, these are really quite delicious. And if you do it right, can you hear that wonderful effervescence? And then you're going to get a wide range of bubbles, and it should be a very smooth soda without an aggressive, hard, big bubble carbonation that sometimes we get from more artificial sodas that are made through industries. Because when you go into the soda making industry, they artificially inject CO2 into a flat liquid and they make an effervescent drink like that without using probiotics like a yeast, for example. So let's taste this ginger soda. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. It's because I put like apple and like fall time spices in this, it's got this fun apple flavor and this fall forward type of profile. But if you want, you can absolutely just like take ginger, grate up the whole thing, you know, heat it up cool it down into like this like warm liquid and then pour it in here and have a straight ginger soda. But technically I have an apple ginger soda because ginger, I'm just using it as my like quote unquote seed. It's just the type of yeast that I'm using to make a fermented drink. You can use a ginger bug, now that I say this, you can use your ginger bug and have a drink that is completely not ginger flavored at all. You do not need to have it be ginger flavored. You can use a few tablespoons of this in an entire liter or quart of liquid and dilute it with whatever flavor you want, and you're gonna get that flavor in your homemade soda and not necessarily have it be ginger. But ginger is still a wonderful option if you're wanting to make a soda. So my personal soda recipe using a ginger bug is you need 6 to 8% of a sugar solution into a liter or quart flip top bottle, inoculated with a few tablespoons of your ginger bug. And all you're doing is you're just adding in enough to inoculate so that you're giving the yeast sugar to eat and consume. 6 to 8% is the sweet spot. If you go higher, you're going to have more of a sweeter soda. If you go less, you will still get a soda, but it'll be more dry. Kind of like the difference between like a dry and sweet wine. Same thing, dry and sweet soda. Sweet soda's more sugar, dry soda's less sugar. The exact same thing. And so you're going to want to, what I do is I will do this, I'll give you a full visual in my next YouTube video, but I take a few tablespoons of this, put it into a mixing bowl that has a 1 liter marking on it. I add in about 60 to 80 grams of sugar or any kind of like sweetener that I'm using. I can use like a syrup, like maple syrup or honey or, you know, whatever, with herbs, spices, maybe infused. And then I will add in enough water and then until I hit 1 liter or about, and I'll stir it around, get everything dissolved, and then I will pour it into this using a funnel because adding everything into this thin top can be a little bit difficult. And so I like to add it to a mixing bowl and then use a funnel to pour it all in, seal it up, and then I let it sit for a few hours. And I will look at the side for bubbles. If bubbles are coming up, then it's a good sign. If they're not coming up, you may need to just be more patient, but it's more of a visual game than anything else. So pay attention to that. I have never let mine go for a few days. Usually my sodas ferment within a few hours using my technique, which I'll go over more in another video on keeping, maintaining, and using a ginger bug. And then once this has been out for a few hours at room temperature, longer in the winter, I will put it in the fridge, which will take it out of the yeast reproduction range. So outside in room temperature, the yeast are proliferating, they're multiplying. When I put it in the fridge, the yeast go to bed, they go dormant, and they stop multiplying. And it makes the soda pour more smooth, and it creates a more smooth effervescence as well. But like I said, I'll go over that in a next YouTube video that goes over keeping, using, maintaining a ginger bug and how I use it, even including a wonderful bread recipe that I came up with. So that is a brief overview of how I use my ginger bug to make sodas from the wild yeast that are present here. So that is how I use my ginger bug to make a ginger bug based soda. Please stay tuned for the next YouTube video where I go over how I do this in greater detail, because I do want to make a more complete tutorial, but this video is more on getting an active ginger bug. Using it will be the next video. If you like this video, if you have questions on activating your ginger bug, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. You can find me at crestdietetics.com. My name is Matthew Kress. I am planning on releasing maybe a blog article or two on the ginger bug, using it. And if you're interested in consulting those types of blog posts, please be sure to check the description under this video because I will link those associated blog posts there. Or alternatively, you can just go to my website and consult the associated ginger bug post that will be linked to this video. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.